Welcome to episode 3 of the Passion Lab. Today we have the great opportunity to be hearing from one of my best friends, Preston Wille, and I've known Preston for a long, long time, and he is an amazing individual. So Preston, thank you for coming on and welcome to the Passion Lab.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on, Jacob. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
sweet. Preston, I guess before we get completely dived into what we're going to be talking about today, why don't you just give the listeners, since we've known each other for such a long time, a brief kind of introduction to know who you are? Anything you'd like to share with the listeners today?
Yeah, like you mentioned, we grew up knowing each other. We met each other in Washington, and I think that story in itself is awesome, and it has influenced me a lot in my life. Uh, Me and Jacob, we met playing soccer. He actually was the one that invited me to play on his soccer team, and I thought he was like the nicest kid for that. And ever since then, Jacob's the person that I know that he pushes everybody to their limits, and it's awesome. That's what I've learned a lot, and so to be on his podcast, to be invited is an honor because he really is the definition of passion.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you, Preston. I wasn't expecting that as we get started, so thank you. That means a lot. I feel like I do an all right job. Um, but yeah, Preston is a great friend of mine. We've known each other, like you said, since what, sixth, fifth grade,
Yeah,
around
so
that time,
fifth grade, yes.
maybe 11, 12 years old. And yeah, Preston and our families are super close, and we've gone on trips together, and we've just been friends ever since then, since that first soccer team
Yeah,
back in
soccer.
fifth or sixth grade. So obviously today we're here to talk about something that you're really, really passionate about. Would you want to kind of tell us what that is and kind of what it means to you, and maybe give us a little bit of background on what that passion means to you and your relationship with it?
Yeah, so you invited me today to talk about golf, and golf has been a part of my life for the past 8 years. Not really too long, but good amount of time being 22.
Yeah.
And I mean, golf, if you've ever played it before, I know you have
Yeah.
played it, but if your listeners have ever played it, it's something that really humbles you and it really kicks you in the butt. Time and time again. You think you're mastering everything, but you really learn what your weaknesses are, your insecurities.
Yeah.
And so for me, I really like a challenge in life. Anything, if I think that I can do it or I get interested in something, I really want to accomplish the feat of overcoming that challenge. And golf is one of those things that I picked up when I was 14, and I just I thought it was so hard. I was like, I thought I was an athlete. I thought I could play sports pretty good and fine and pick things up. But then I picked up a golf club and I was like, why can't I hit this little ball? Like it's sitting right there. It's not even moving.
Yeah.
I played baseball, and there's baseball is, coming at you at 70 miles an hour, as a young kid. And, I can hit that, but I can't hit this ball right in front of me. And so that was kind of what drew me into it. And then I've spent the past 8 years trying to perfect
Yeah.
hitting that little ball.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I'm by no means a good golfer. I would be called very a hobby golfer. I go for fun, more of the community, more of the enjoyment of being with the other people, not necessarily the game. The game usually causes the most frustration. Preston and I have shared many games, and I'm sure I have made him plenty frustrated with how bad I am at golf. But it's always been a good time because we're just there out there to really have fun. So that's awesome. I guess
Yeah.
going back, what I guess I've we've been friends for so long. What made you get into golf at 14? Was it your freshman year of high
It
school,
would
or
have
was it before then?
it would have been actually, I guess it would have been just right before.
Okay.
Um, Eighth grade year, I believe it was. I just remember I've grown up with golf on my mom's side of the family. Just every time in a family reunion or a visit or a trip, my grandparents or my grandpa, he would go golfing with his sons, my uncles. And I'd always just tag along, just playing, like driving around in the golf cart, maybe hit a ball every now and then. But I never really thought it was like cool or fun. I was just like, oh yeah, it's interesting.
It's for grandpa.
Yeah, it's for grandpa. It's for the older generation.
Yeah.
But then I was playing football, and I was really enjoying that. Um, but I was pretty stressed. You're getting hit, you're hitting people all the time, and so it was a lot of fun though. But my grandpa he was visiting one time. He was on a trip up to Washington, I can't remember why he was on the trip, but I just remember that he just mentioned, he's like, "Hey, you should, try golfing. There's this 10, like, you pay $10 and you go to this group lesson down at this PGA Tour course, Chambers Bay,
Mhm.
and just take this lesson and try it out, like, try it out a little bit more seriously." My dad had, like, this, I swear, 1970s clubs or something, super old clubs. Um, and I reluctantly, I was like, "Okay," and, he gave the reason, "You can only play football, if you even get good enough, you can play in college, but, you're probably not gonna go professional."
Mhm.
And I didn't have any plans for that, I was just enjoying the sport. And so he was telling me, "You can play golf the rest of your life,
Yeah.
you know, you you're 14." He was 60, at the time, and he's pretty good and he's playing still. And I was like, "That's a good point. I like a game. I wanna keep doing that." So I went a couple weeks later and I went to and did that group lesson. It was the First Tee was the name of the group. And I I mean, if you've ever played golf, there's always that one moment where at first you're like, "Okay, this is all right," like I'm playing it. But then you hit the ball that one time and it goes straight and does exactly what you want. And you just have this feeling. And
Yeah.
and that feeling really stays with you. And so that I hit that. I remember I was hitting on the range and there was this kid there too. He was really good. He was in like the junior, like the Washington Junior Golf Association
Oh, wow.
or something. He was really good. He was really good. I don't know why he was there. I think he was just there to hit free balls. Um, and so, he was chatting me up and he was like, "Dude, like you got a good swing." He was really hyping me up and I was like, "Yeah, I don't." But, he was a nice guy and his mom too, when my mom came to pick me up, his mother he said like, "Oh, your son's got a great swing. He's really got to pick this up." And so I kind of, I was flattered and I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, maybe I'll keep doing this." And so I kept doing that uh, at the same time while playing football, and I just eventually fell in love with it. And I mean, I don't know when I decided that I was just like, I'm just gonna dedicate myself, but I kept wanting to get that feeling back of hitting a good shot.
Yeah.
And so I kept playing, and my dad, he was a big driver in helping me with that because then he started picking it up because all of his brother-in-laws and his father-in-law were playing all the time, and so he'd get invited, but he never, played on his own, so he was really bad. So he was like, "All right, let's do this together." So we go every Saturday morning, and that was fun. I mean, there were a lot of times where I just did not because I did not wanna go, and we'd
Mhm.
wake up at 6:30 or 6 in the morning to go to this little course at 7 to play around, and I mean, we had a lot of fun, but that's where I started, and I mean, I've it really grew, and I loved it, especially during COVID times. COVID was a great
Yeah.
time.
Wow, that's an amazing I mean, I've known you for so long, I didn't know that was, like, the inciting story into how you got into golf. I mean, I felt like you always loved golf, but it's not necessarily like there's a
Right.
couple years that we knew each other that you didn't love golf, but the majority of the time that we have known each other,
Yeah.
you've loved golf. That's such an amazing story just to hear about. I mean, all those things, your grandpa who encouraged you so much and it seemed like he really pushed you as like the initiator, I guess, into
Yeah.
that first like spark into like, okay, maybe I am interested in this. And then like that validation along the way and the consistency that your dad gave you is such an amazing, I guess, supporter to have in your life. If I mean, at least for me, when your dad like supports you in something and encourages you and pushes you, it feels really validating. You feel like, okay, I need to be like into this wholeheartedly. I need to give my whole effort, and so that's such
Yeah.
an amazing, I guess, story. Take me, I guess, between the time where you just kind of started doing it casually with your dad on a Saturday morning, more towards where you started doing competitively, and you decide, okay, I want to join the golf team in high school, and I guess like that shift where it became like something that you enjoyed doing with your family and your grandpa, and because it was something that you wanted to dedicate yourself to where it becomes something that you were really passionate about and very competitive with.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing was I just started loving it, just playing consistently with my dad and then my grandpa just being so supportive that eventually, high school was coming around. I knew I wasn't going to play football in high school. was doing track and field at the time too, in like 7th, 8th grade or 8th grade track and field, right? We did that together. That
Yeah.
was awesome. And then, so I knew I wanted to do that in high school, but that was a different season. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, I need a sport or something to do in the fall season. And so golf was in that season. And so going into my 9th grade year, I was like, well, let's try out. I can have a community of people that are golfing. It's free golf, and then I can just get, a little bit better. So then when I go hang out with my grandpa and all my uncles, I can, hopefully beat them or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
They had years on me. Um, and so I went and tried out, and honestly, like, it was super fun. And that's something, we don't talk a lot about, is kind of the golf tryout process. So where we were at Curtis High School, um, yeah, honestly, it's a long, like, week and a half
Dang.
of you just play 18 holes every day. Um, and so I've never played as much golf in my life. I think ever. Every year during tryouts, that was the most golf I've ever played. 18 holes every day, 5 days a week. So it ended up being, I think, about 7 or 8 days of 18 holes, and then, you know, sometimes the high schoolers, we'd go out and we'd play another 9 holes after tryouts, and we'd hit balls before, so it was probably 10-hour days on average. Um, and so you're carrying, your bag. Some people would pay for push cards because you're just carrying like food, water, everything, right? And so it's tiring. But that first year, I remember I played pretty all right, I thought. Um, and I was on the line to get cut. And I remember the last day um, playing, and I beat the other two guys that were also on the line. But then I got cut.
Dang.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think it was just because I was the youngest. The other ones were juniors or seniors,
Yeah.
so coach just wanted them to have the chance to play. But I remember when I got cut, I was just like, okay, like, why? How? I've never experienced that before in a sport, I guess. First time going into high school where you actually can get cut. And so to get cut in a sport that I really enjoyed kind of gave me that fuel to practice even harder and to make sure that I do make the team. And that was something that my coach, Mr. Buell, he said was, he's like, some of the greatest golfers I've seen, throughout my coaching years are the ones that have been cut the first year or second year, maybe 2 years, 3 years in a row, and then they come back just even better. And and so I took that as hope, maybe it was just something nice he was saying to me, but I was able to do that. And this was right before COVID, I believe. Yeah, it was COVID times. And so I came back and I was able to make the team. I was, and you're only allowed, I think, well, how many players? It was 6 on varsity, 6 on JV. So maybe 13 or 14 players are allowed to play or be on the team. And so I came back the next year, and for some reason, everybody decided that they wanted to try out for golf. And so there was like 50 people there, 50, 80 people trying out.
Wow.
And so, I came back with this hope of I'm going to make the team. And then all of a sudden, there's so many people, but I was able to make that team. So I was super grateful of that opportunity to actually play on the team. And so, um, I didn't want to get coach all sad or mad that I'm not playing good. And so I really pushed myself that year. And then when COVID came around, that's where I was real when everything shut down. Golf was the first thing to open back up. And that's where I really pushed myself to play as much as I can at home, on the carpet, outside in the backyard. Um, and so going into the seasons and stuff and being able to compete and actually feel like you had a chance against other players, it's a great feeling. And I know anybody else that's played a sport knows that feeling, but it's very special with golf because it's at a very individual level.
Yeah. Dang. It's a crazy story. I mean, it's a story of rejection. It's a story of, I guess, hard work and triumph. And just I guess with golf being such a mental game, like there's obviously a very physical aspect to the game of golf, walking 18 holes and long, long days, and having the endurance to go that through that. But I would say over half of the game of golf is endurance and just your mental
Yeah.
endurance, being able to get work through those. You said in that first year where you were kind of on the cusp of making it or not making it, you were kind of on that line. And that last round where you said you beat those two people, and you said, so you kind of thought to yourself, hey, like I'm probably gonna be on the team.
Yeah.
And so you had to be very mentally turned on. And then I guess throughout like the 80-person tryout, how do you stay mentally strong throughout the game of golf to make sure that you're, even when you maybe miss a putt left or miss it high or shank something out into the trees, how do you what do you do, I guess, to shift yourself back into, okay, like I'm fine, that was one bad shot, but like how do you shift? What is your kind of mental games or whatever you play with
Yeah,
yourself?
no, I mean, golf is probably the most mental game of any sport out there. All of the other sports, you're in the moment, making these decisions, but golf, you make a decision, you hit that ball, and then you have 5 minutes to think about what am I gonna do with the ball that's 100 yards out that I just shanked off to the right. How am I gonna make up? Because one wrong move in golf, you can be having the best day, you could be shooting even par, and then you reach hole 16 and you shoot 8 over, and you're like, are you kidding me?
Rounds ruined.
You know? So what I've learned is, through playing golf, I had a coach who he told me this, and then I started using it a lot, was the only thing you should be thinking about is the next shot. So if you're standing over the ball, you're thinking about this shot. You're not thinking about, oh, I'm still, 300 yards out and this is my second shot and it's a par four, right? You just want to make this your best shot and then deal with whatever comes. And so um, that was super awesome because you can really control your emotions. Because if your emotions get off, then you start making poor decisions. Because everything boils down to the one swing, the one hit that you're about to make. And so, I started shifting my mentality to that. I'm starting around. I'm not thinking, oh, okay, this whole front nine, I need to shoot even par because in the back nine, I typically do worse. So I need, that buffer. It's okay. Where do I need to go? What do I need to do to get there? And then, wherever it ends up, that's fine. I just got to get it closer to the hole. Even if it's a bad shot, as long as it's getting closer to the hole, I'm going to make it in there. And so it's a lot of being in the present and knowing what and figuring out what to do because there's so much to think about in golf. But you can't stress about the future. We do that a lot today. We stress a lot about
Yeah.
the future. What is going to come? The stock market's doing this. There's wars. There's all that. But if we just focus on what is the best thing that I can do right now, and the future will fall in place.
Yeah. That's amazing. I think that's such a, I mean, obviously within the aspect of the game of golf, it's such amazing, but like you just said, like if we apply that to our present day life, if we're staying present in the moment, not worrying about what am I going to do tomorrow when this problem happens because it's going to happen tomorrow, or what am I going to happen, what if I can't find a job? Like all these worries that we have, if we were just to be 10 times more present with who we are. And I think that these little devices have ruined that a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
They've made us kind of go off into la la land sometimes, and we get distracted,
Yeah.
and we can't stay in the present. We can't even have a conversation between the two of us without looking at our phone. Oh, someone texted me. I need to check my phone, or need to scroll reels real quick because I'm in an elevator and I don't want to talk to anyone. And blah blah blah. I
Right.
think the ability to stay present is such a blessing because as we stay present and we're really here, just having this human connection. This is something I've talked about recently with a friend. Is with the advancements in AI,
Mhm.
we can learn so much from AI,
Yeah.
and AI has such an ability to give us knowledge. but something that AI will never give us is wisdom.
Right.
Because wisdom, and this is a little, I'm kind of going off a little tangent, but it just kind of reminded me when you're saying about being so present, is the AI will never give us wisdom because it has no learned experience.
Yes.
AI could never tell me what it's like to be sitting over the 18th hole, even par, on your fourth shot on a par 5. It could never tell me what that's like, but you could, because we're human. This is a connection. And I'm getting chills right now as I say this,
Yeah.
just because the human connection, even what we're doing right now, is just like so amazing because
Yeah.
of the advancements in like AI. While it's great and it can do a lot of good, there's a depth and there's a beauty to a connection like this where we're able to just talk and just have this uninterrupted human connection. So
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts on that? If not, it's just kind of a thought that came to mind after you're talking about being present.
No, I think that's beautiful. I don't got anything to
Yeah.
add. Yeah.
All right. Kind of moving on. I mean, it's been an amazing story so far to hear how you kind of were introduced into golf. And obviously it seems like your grandpa has been a big proponent of that. And there's been people along the way. Is there anyone or any advice that someone's given you along the way that is kind of like, obviously you've talked about your grandpa, you've talked about your dad and his ability to like bring you to the golf course every Saturday, the coach who's given you that advice about staying present. Um, Other than those, are there anything else that has kind of shaped your environment when it comes to golf? When it like, yeah,
Yeah. Anything else that's shaped my environment? I think, you know, I was just in the right place, right time. When I started learning golf, I think Washington. Now my family lives in Arizona, and everybody says that's the capital of golf.
yeah,
Um, Great golf courses, not really great practice facilities, and that kind of bugs me. And it's also super hot. I don't
yeah,
like the heat, but I think just my parents have been super supportive of that, and the environment itself as physical was just amazing. In Washington, the practice facilities were awesome. I started working at my home course, and so I got free golf, and I got to talk with the PGA Tour pros there, and they, I'd be putting on the green, and they'd walk by, and they're like, "Hey, Preston, try doing this, with your swing, or try doing, this drill," and so I think that just really helped. But I think the biggest thing is you just like with golf, you have to put yourself in a place to get that advice or learn more. And I know, we talked about competitive golf a little bit. High school is great, the competitive nature there, but I learned also a lot and could see a wide variety of players just going out and doing my own tournaments, just finding tournaments and playing there. And I think just Washington in general, if you want to pick up golf, is a great spot to do it.
yeah,
Um, but um, and that's just that physical aspect of being in the right location. Um, when it comes to people, I think you just need to have a supportive group of people around you, a family or friends that also have goals and they want to. You were a big runner, and so
yeah,
you were always competing, always running, and so I wanted that drive that you had, but with golf, and so
yeah,
I felt like I could feel that, because if you're surrounded by people that don't really, have those goals or want to do much um, with their lives. It's kind of hard to get that drive for yourself. And, people around you can really push you. And so I felt really blessed in Washington to have a friend group like that. Everybody, wanted to be great at something.
yeah.
And so they'd push themselves and push everybody around them to do their best.
Yeah, that's so true. I think being in an environment where you can support your friends by just doing what you love. I mean, that's half the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I
Yeah.
love people's stories and love hearing about what they're passionate about and things that they care about. So being able to just listen and just hear their stories is like it really fills my cup because I leave an interview, I leave a conversation so inspired and so motivated and just to go forward and change things in my own life because
Right.
of the passion that someone is showing for a specific topic or hobby is just it's infectious. Like
Yeah.
it literally infects everyone around you. And so being able to have a friend group like that where everyone's just kind of elevating each other, it's really just a very positive environment. It doesn't feel like it sucks much out of you. It just fills everyone with everyone else's, I guess, energy. So
Yeah.
I totally agree with that sentiment. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's great.
I guess take me back to a round of golf that kind of sticks out in your mind, whether that's a high school tournament or a tournament you've entered on your own, and just tell me about that. That really just sticks with you.
Yeah. So there was a round, there was a high school round. I think it was my senior year. I do remember that. It was my last chance last year of playing competitive golf in that atmosphere. And I remember it's the greatest round. I think about it, it's actually bad because I think about it a lot.
That's awesome.
Every time I play golf, I always think about this round, and I have vivid memories of specific shots too. But we were playing Bellarmine. They were ranked number 1 in the state, and got lined up to play with the second best player in the state as well. I mean, they had, number 1, number 2, number 4, and number 6 or something in the state just on the
Wow.
team. So they won state that year, no surprise there.
Yeah.
But I remember, going into that round, it's like, all right, they were our high school rivals in every sport, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of fun. They're the prep kids and
Yeah.
everything, and we're that public school. But and so I remember they're to get onto their golf team, you have to make varsity. They only allow 6 players of
Wow.
a team, so you have to be really good. And they play at the country club, of no surprise there, and that's a tough course. And so we were playing at our home course, which was nice. It's not it's a great course. I love it. But it's nothing too difficult compared to what they've played and practiced. And so we were nervous going in.
Yeah.
But I remember just playing the best round of my life. I shot at 36 because we just played 9 holes. 36, it was a par 35, and so I just shot 1 over. And I just remember playing the first 5 holes, 6 holes, just even par. And I was just like, the feeling you have of just shooting even par. I mean, it's great when you make a birdie, but when you just see that 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, just 0 every time,
Yeah.
it's just great. And you feel so confident in yourself. That is just a great feeling. Every shot just is that shot that you've always been chasing, and you're feeling that every time you hit the ball, and you're just like so giddy and you're so happy. And then I remember coming to the 7th hole. It was a par 5, and that one I shot it was a bogey. And so kind of my streak was kind of up, and I was kind of sad. I was sad. I was like, man, I was going for that, even par, but I was still playing the best round of my life. And so we go into the 8th hole, and that's a par 3. And, I'm discouraged off of a bogey, which every other day I would just be happy, right?
Yeah.
But I just had hit and flow state, right?
Yeah.
But I shanked it so bad off to the right. And I was just like, this is not the hole to do that on a par 3.
Yeah.
Everybody says maybe everybody loves par 3s. For me, par 3s are the hardest holes. But then I go up to the ball, I'm sitting 20 yards off the green, and I made that chip. I chipped it in for birdie. And I just remember I was like, the Lord wants me to do good today.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so then I was sitting back even par, I was happy, and then finished the 9th hole with a bogey, which was fine. I knew going into the 9th hole, if I would, bogey, double bogey, even triple bogey, I mean, I'd be pretty sad with a triple bogey, but if I double bogey, it'd still be the best round I ever played. But then going into the 9th round, I remember I chunked my drive again, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, man, I played the best golf. And then, of course, it comes down to the last 2 holes. Chunked my drive like 80 yards, I think, and it's like a 430 yard hole, right?
Dead straight.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my goodness, no way. But then I go up to the ball and I pulled out my 4-iron, and I was like really confident my 4-iron that day. Hit a beautiful shot right onto the green. And then, so I'm on in two, and then I three putted, which was sad because I was far off the green. I'm
Yeah.
280 yards out, and somehow,
Somehow
got
three
on the
putted.
green, but so it was sad. But everybody came in after that, and we were all looking at the scores, and the kid I was playing with, who was number 2 in the state, he was a freshman too.
Oh my.
Amazing. He's good. He shot 3 over something. They destroyed us. Overall, they destroyed us. But I remember I saw the second best score. The number 1 guy, he shot like 1 or 2 under or something on the day. And that's a moment what I really learned right there is when you surround yourself with greatness, you perform at that level. And that is something that is so poignant in golf that you really see. I'm playing with the greatest players in our state, and I really attribute that to the reason that I played really well. Every time I've played with really great players, I've been able to play good, somewhat. And so I just remember that feeling is something that you chase all the time in golf, is just to be able to shoot even par, and just be confident in yourself, because then the world fades away and you feel great. And so that round was absolutely amazing.
Wow, that's such an amazing experience. I mean, to be surrounded by that level of excellence within the game of golf. I don't know how Washington golf, I guess, like compares to the rest of the U.S., but I'm sure it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
Um,
good.
and that kid probably maybe he's playing college golf right now. I don't know where he's at, but
Yeah.
that's amazing. I mean, just like we were just talking about, surrounding yourself with greatness elevates you. You rise to the level of the occasion.
Yeah.
Whatever the occasion is, you have a choice. You can either shrivel in the fear of the possibility of failure or embarrassment, or you can rise to the level of the occasion and just kind of say, okay, everyone else is doing great. I'm gonna rise to that level and just
Yeah.
try and go beyond.
Oh yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I just think that's an amazing sentiment to kind of think about. And I guess off the back of that, I mean, you've loved golf. That sounds like a kind of a flow. You said flow state experience with
Yeah, I
golf.
know.
If golf, for some reason, mystically, if aliens came and they destroyed every golf course, got rid of everyone's memory of golf, all the golf clubs, all the golf balls, every equipment with golf, if it was all gone tomorrow, what would you miss the most about the game of golf?
You know, I think the social aspect is something that's huge. Um, it is fun, when you're not competing, just to go out and just hang out with the boys, or just hang out, meet new people. Um, I think I've met some really fun people, um, through golf. And it's one of those sports that like a lot of business people play. So I mean, I've played with billionaires, or not billionaires, sorry. I've played with millionaires, and show hosts, or some really cool people. And I think that's something that I would miss a lot, is getting to know somebody in a space that the world, like all your problems in life, just are not there.
Yeah.
Um, and so to get rid of that is kind of to get rid of a peaceful place, um, which you don't really think about in sports a lot. I think every sport, every person, whether it's football or soccer, you reach a moment where there's nothing else that matters except for that game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great feeling. And I think golf has that, but adds also that social aspect of getting to know somebody really cool, and really know who they are, because golf really shows every aspect of somebody, especially if you know where you're looking. And so it would just be really sad.
Yeah.
I can't just go out and decide to meet for 3 other people and just spend 4 hours with them.
Yeah.
Golf's really unique, and the only place you can really do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I think that the space for a lot of these people, and I have only done a couple episodes so far in this podcast, but this is a question like what is your passion? This is a question I've been asking people for a long time. And I think a common theme along with what you just said is people's passions and things they care about deeply and things they do regularly in the sense of a hobby or something they do in the sense of a passion is a peaceful, safe space for them in the world.
Mhm.
I mean, life inherently is kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on inside and outside of our own control. And I think that whatever it is, to be able to find a place of peace for yourself, to find a place in this world where you feel completely kind of blissful,
Yeah.
where you feel, okay, I don't have to worry about anything right now except for the fact that I three-put it on hole four. Like,
Right.
really,
Yeah.
like the biggest problem in your life for those 2 hours, 3 hours, or however long you're out there is just the game and the people you're with. And I think going back to that point you said at the beginning of this episode, being present, it's a great opportunity to just be present, being able to be where you are, kind of in nature. Golf has a beautiful nature where you are seeing some of the most beautiful landscapes. I think personally, two of the golf courses that I love the most is our home course, Meadow Park,
Yeah.
because it's just trees. It's Washington.
Yeah.
It's how do you say that word? Cinquental? I don't know.
Yeah. Something like that.
I can't remember the word, but it's like iconic Washington. Just
It really is
green,
Washington.
green trees, huge. You're this little tiny person walking among these 200-foot trees
Yeah.
the whole time. And then the second best is Chambers, where you're right on the water.
Mhm.
Those two are just beautiful places where, while they can be stressful and it's a fun game to be out there playing, it's just beautiful, and it gives you the opportunity to just be out in nature and just enjoying, I guess, God's creations, and in such a beautiful way. Before we get to the last two questions, which are kind of one fun one and one kind of serious one, I want to ask you. Obviously, golf has meant a lot for you in your life. What are what's like the biggest lesson you think you've learned from participating, playing, and competing, and also doing casually playing the game of golf?
Yeah. I think the biggest lesson, and I don't know if you guys can tell off of how I speak about golf is just this poetic analogy of life every time you play it. And so every time I play golf or I think about golf, I realize all the lessons that I've learned with life. And I think the biggest ones come to that social aspect. Being in the finance world, they really drill into you networking or the importance of, meeting new people. And so I think for me, it boils down to time. The time you spend in different places um, really dictates where your life goes. And so, when it comes down to golf, the amount of time you spend golfing, whether it's 30 minutes a day, but it's a daily thing, you're going to get better. If you play 4 hours on Saturday, every Saturday, you're not going to get as good as if you're playing 30 minutes every day. Um, and so it's taught me, if I put myself in a place where I'm surrounded by the type of people that I want to become, or that I look up to, then I will eventually learn the things that they do or start acting, in similar ways. And that really drives success. And so I've really tried to do that, right? Religious standpoint or, personal progress. Surround myself with people that have similar views, but also want to push themselves to be the best that they can be. And then you feel left out if you're not doing that, or you're the odd one out. You got all these successful people like our friend group,
Yeah.
but we're awesome. Like, everybody's pushing themselves all the time. And so, you can't do it in a comparison standard, right?
Mhm.
That is a danger that you can run into. But when everybody's happy and everybody's doing the best that they can, they want to become the best person that they can possibly become. You feel that drive, and you just, you excel. And so golf has really taught me that where you put yourself in life, just even putting yourself there, you don't have to do anything. Just putting yourself there, you're already doing it. You're putting yourself in a place of success.
That's awesome. I think those are some great things and great words of wisdom to anyone listening who wants to kind of upgrade their personality, not just their personality, just who they are.
Yeah.
So that advice, I think we've harped on it multiple times, is just surrounding yourself with excellence.
Yeah.
with people who care, people who are trying to succeed, people who are trying to do great things in this world. And as we, I guess, surround ourselves with those types of people, we naturally rise. And so that's great. Before we get to the very last question, this is kind of just a fun question. Kind of maybe it will tell the listeners a lot about who you are, maybe it won't. But I think it's a fun question because it's something that I've never asked you. And so if I had a golden ticket, I could give you a tee time anywhere in the world,
Uh-huh.
any golf course. With any, you have a foursome, you and three people, anyone, past, present, future, golfer or not. Who would you go? And
So anybody,
anybody,
anybody.
any golfer,
Okay.
and you could do professional golfer, you could do past, present, future, whether they golf or not,
Yeah.
and then any course in the world. Where would you pick?
Yeah. Okay. Or I mean, hands down, easily the easiest answer is I want to play Augusta National, where they play the Masters. I mean, that's just the most beautiful and fun, most fun event in all of golf every year. And it's so hard to play the course. You have to know a member. So, just the impossibility of playing
Yeah.
there really makes me want to play it.
Yeah.
So that would be the course. I think, the people I'd want to play with, I'd definitely invite my grandpa because he was the one that started me on this journey. And then every time I visit him, we go golfing 2 or 3 times. And so I think that would be super fun to go with him. I think if I could go with any, professional golfer, I'd go with Rory McIlroy,
Yeah.
hands down.
Easy.
He's been my favorite for years. And with him completing the Grand Slam, I got a couple questions about that.
Yeah, of course.
But he's a player that I find very really interesting because golf is such a mental game and very emotional. You have to control your emotions, and Roy's he's very strong with that. He's got really strong emotions. Like he can get really mad, or he can be really calm. Um, he can swing either way, but he's gotten to a point where he's able to really master his emotions so that he can play, really good continuously. And so I want to ask him, like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
If I get mad, then my round's like screwed
It's
over,
gone.
but he's able to do it. And that's kind of the same. Scotty Scheffler, who's the number 1 player in the world, is also similar. But so yeah, Roy McIlroy, really inspiring. And then for the third person, honestly, I think it'd be my dad, just for him getting me out to consistently, go. And he's a big reason why I've learned that consistency drives success. Because even from a young age, at 4 years old, he was my soccer coach, and then have me practice at home, all that. And then when I got into baseball, we go 2 or 3 times a week. I was a pitcher, and I'd pitch to him, and he was that driving force. I never was like, oh yeah, let's go, pitch or something. But he's like, all right, let's do that. And so then I learned that consistency is really important. And he, as you heard, he did that a lot with golf for me.
Mhm.
And so, he's not the best golfer, but I think it would be really fun to take him to
Yeah, of
Augusta.
course.
So I think those 3 would be a super fun and interesting group
Yeah.
to play with.
That would be, I would love to watch that. I would
Yeah.
follow. I would be the caddies. I would be a caddy
Yeah,
for one of
you
you.
would have to be
Just
there.
to be there. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that foursome. That sounds like a lot of fun, especially, I mean, I love your dad. Your dad's an amazing person. Rory has my heart.
Yeah.
That guy is, I don't know. He's
Never
just
cried
he's
for
a
a
he's a
sporting
class
event.
act. I've never cried because of golf, but that man's
He's
made
the
me
one.
cry.
Yeah.
And obviously your grandpa means so much to you. So that's so awesome. And now just the final question I kind of ask every guest. If you were to give advice to anyone who wants to pursue a passion they've been considering or thinking about for a while, what would be that advice to them to just get started?
Yeah. I think this is the way that I do it when I'm trying to get into something new. Been trying to do it with piano recently. Um, I think it's you need to plan out your life, right? You need to know where and what you're doing at what times in the day. Find a slot like 30 minutes maximum. It could be even 15 minutes. It really depends on what hobby you're trying to get into. But 30 minutes, and just do that. Just do whatever the hobby is for 30 minutes. Golfing, right? Everybody's like, oh, you got to go to the golf course. And so you're going to spend 2 hours every day trying to do that. But really, what you could do is you could just practice putting at home, or chipping. It's something easily you can do. But I think the consistency and the amount of time you spend um, will help you to develop and grow a love for that hobby and then also excel. So 30 minutes a day, no more, maybe 5 days during the weekdays. But just try and do it. Even if you're bad, just try every day. I think that's the most important for somebody trying to get into something. And it'll take time, right? I mean, I'm sitting here having played golf 8 years, I think. And, I look back to when I started and I'm like, man, I don't even really know how or why I kept going except for that one shot. I think back and I'm like, man, I was like so bad sometimes that I'm like, man, like, how did I like, doing that?
Yeah.
And I just say that because I'm sitting here and I've realized all the progress I've made. And, I haven't been able to golf too much being in college. And so, my ability's gone back, but I still love it. I'm a little bit more frustrated, but I still love it. And so I think just knowing that in the future, if you consistently practice or consistently surround yourself with that hobby or passion, that you will grow a deep love for it in the future, even if you don't want to continue.
Yeah, thank you. That's some really sound advice. And that just kind of to kind of tee off that into the end of the episode. A favorite quote of mine is consistent competency. No, consistent competency. So just being competent at something equals eventual excellence.
Yeah, yeah.
E squared equals C squared. It's something that Ed Eyestone, the track coach at BYU, always says.
Oh, yeah.
So consistently showing up and just being competent,
Yeah.
showing up and just trying your best every day, just like you said, will far exceed any great effort at one time. Consistently showing up, the consistent competence equals eventual
It's
excellence.
one word trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Competency.
So I think that's amazing. I think that's some very sound advice. Preston, I just want to say thank you so much for being willing to come on and have this amazing conversation. I feel like we've had a really enlightening conversation today. I hope.
Yeah.
And I know that people will learn a lot from what you said today, because I've learned a lot. And so thank you for that. So yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed this. I felt like I learned a lot about myself too.
Yeah. It's a little therapy session for the two of us.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you. This has been episode 3 of the Passion Lab, and we will see you next week.